Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Spin Zone. Here, Spin Doc here with you, and it is a beautiful morning. Absolutely beautiful night, beautiful day of baseball yesterday. We'll get into it when I talk about what did we learn yesterday because there was something to take from that, not even necessarily from like a pitcher standpoint, but just from an overall gambling standpoint. But first, wanted to let you know that this show is being brought to you on behalf of the Daily Bread Network on YouTube and also on behalf of myself at Spin Doc Sports on X. Please give us both a follow. If you're not already, like and share the video. It helps us to get our content out there and let everybody know what we're about. So if you haven't yet, please go ahead and just smash that like button. We really do appreciate it. So, what a night. What a night. VIP went full 5-0, back-to-back sweeps. We're on a 10-play win streak right now. Absolutely smoking. 21-5 since last week. I've told you over and over that the end of May, just before Memorial Day, all the way through July is typically when you do strikeout props like this, is and should be the most profitable time of the year. Reason being is teams have not made their decisions if they're going to shut guys down, if they're going to go make trades, if they're going to bring in new guys. And you also have where numbers have normalized and books and everybody really has new baselines for what the pitcher and the team they're facing are about this year. It's a little volatile in the early months of the year because you got guys changing teams, you got new coaches, you got new stuff going on. There's a whole bunch of different things happening. So this is the sweet spot. And in the sweet spot, which is going to be the first thing about like what did we learn yesterday, is for those of you that have been longtime VIP members, you do know that it's rare. It's rare for me to have so many plays. I think I told one person yesterday, I'm like, I didn't intend to have 5. I didn't intend to have so many units in play, but the matchups and the situation dictate the action, not the other way around. And so I'm a big believer. And me, normally, I'm one of the more risk averse people, in that one of my primary goals, as you know, if you select me as your capper for anything, is yes, it's to give winning plays and give winning stuff, but primarily it's to protect your bankroll. And what I mean by that is on high juice stuff, limiting the amount of high juice plays or limiting the amount of units we put in play, limiting the amount of plays per day to only the ones that truly matter, not getting FOMO'd and not deciding, well, shoot, we missed out on three ones that we were going to play yesterday that didn't hit. So now we have 5 more today that are lukewarm. So let's just fire on those just so we have action. My primary goal is to protect your bankroll, and that should be your goal as well. I'm assuming that a lot of people watching this or who will watch this have watched Rounders, and it's one of my favorite movies. And because I used to play semi-professionally and have basically a second job doing that online and elsewhere, playing poker. And the quote from there is so true, right? Get your money in when you have the best of it and protect it when you don't. And when you take it from somebody, whether it be a casino, a book, another player, a person, whatever, the big thing is don't give it back. Don't give it back on lukewarm spots. Don't put it up on juice 50-50 shots. Keep your money and wait for the next spot and strategically put it in. That's when it becomes less of just pure gambling and it becomes more of investing, because you're still putting money at risk with no guarantee of return. So it's almost, it's like whether you invest in crypto or whether you invest in stocks or bonds or futures or whatever the case might be, you're still putting something at risk with no guarantee of a return, but the reasonable belief that there will be something coming back to you because of how the situation lines up. So didn't intend to have 5 plays yesterday, but the one thing I will say is when those situations come up, when those times do come, like a couple Fridays ago when I was on with Sharpie, I know we had a heavy day there and just destroyed it, is that you can't be afraid to fire. You can't be afraid to think, oh my God, like I have like 6 units in play today. What am I doing? Like if I lose it, you can't think that way, because what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up saying, well, there's 6 or 5 or whatever, but I really, really like these 2, so I'm going to go with those. Of course, what happens? Those 2 lose, the other 3 win, or 1 wins, 1 loses, and then the other 4 win. Had you invested in all of them, you'd be up a mint instead of breaking even, etc. Those are the types of things that I wanted to use as today's lesson learned, is that when the situation presents itself, when it says fire, you have to fire. I kept watching throughout the day, and all 5 that VIP hit, and the ones that I talked about, hey, they just kept materializing. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes they materialize. Sometimes lineups cooperate. I know Sharpie posted it last night. Sometimes you get an umpire like Bill Miller out there with Rodon and the absolute hot garbage that they have at the bottom of their lineup out in Anaheim. And sometimes it just works. And when it just works, you have to get your money in. So now the trick is not necessarily to just bank all of it, but look for strategic spots, because looking at today's card, I don't see a potential for a banger, but I do see a potential for money. There is money to be made. There's money to be made every day in Major League Baseball. Only a few days present themselves as, oh my God, we got to go. And that to me is the biggest lesson that I took away from yesterday. So with that in mind, is a couple pitcher things that I want to talk about from yesterday. Is number one is that the Anaheim Angels have probably supplanted the Colorado Rockies as the team to pick on when it comes to just overs. Chris Taylor is just absolutely ridiculous when it comes to strikeouts. So the 4 you want to look for, even if you don't do this on a regular basis, even if you don't look at anything K-Prop related, is just look and see if Ohapi, Paris, Adele, and Chris Taylor are all in the lineup. If all 4 are in the lineup, there's a whole bunch of pitchers like throughout the, like just on down the line that you can just take an over for a little bit, or just put it into a parlay at anything, because all 4 of them have such horrendous swing metrics. Doesn't matter if Shaniel's up top, doesn't matter if Neto's up top. Those 4 can account for 4 to 5 strikeouts on their own every single game. And that gets you to a lot of numbers that guys are set at. So that was the first thing that I took away from yesterday, is that while the Rockies are still a team you can easily pick on when it comes to strikeouts, is that the Anaheim Angels are probably the team that you want to pick on even more if those 4 are in the lineup. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about from a pitcher standpoint from yesterday is that when it comes, the other guy I wanted to talk about, well, I mean, I want to talk about Flaherty, is that he's a guy that is almost matchup proof at home. The line, I thought he was going to get 6 for sure. I thought 7 might have been a little bit of a stretch. I did not count on 8, but that's exactly what he did. The guys that he was supposed to mow down, he mowed down. And Flaherty at home is a guy that you can just take against a lot of different teams in a lot of different matchups. He's just a different pitcher in Detroit, and he is a guy that I when he's at home, it's either over or pass. I just can't take an under for Jack Flaherty in any sense, any which way, anything at all. The other thing, the last one that I wanted to talk about, is that Joe Ryan made the finalist list for me for VIP, but this is one where the numbers didn't look right. And what I mean by that is that when you look at their recent strikeout percentage, and when you look at some of the contact metrics from a chase perspective, and this is where things don't go together always. You saw that Joe Ryan allows a lot of chase contact, and so it would be, and you got a lot of guys that whiff when they chase. But What they don't do is they don't have a lot of guys that miss in the zone. So they make a lot of zone contact, and that's where Ryan spends the most of his time. This is what I talk about a correlative metric, is that you could have very easily gone up and down the Rays lineup, and you could have seen Cavallero, you could have seen Misner, you would have seen one of the lows, and you would have seen, oh my, there's just chase whiff galore in here. And so, hey, like maybe I want to look at taking an over. Joe Ryan's been really good lately. The problem becomes is that it doesn't really correlate with who Joe Ryan is as a pitcher. Joe Ryan spends over 52% of his time in the zone. And all of that lineup, I counted, I believe, I ran a partial chart for him. I had three guys that were under league average in zone contact. That correlates because it's where he throws. And so if you're going to look at the stuff yourself, that's what I would always advise, is to put the pitcher in and the hitters in situations that match up with who their opponents are. So like, for example, to say, well, God, this guy's got a 47% K percentage against righties. Yeah, but the team's projected to run 7 lefties. So what's his K percentage against lefties? More specifically, what's his K percentage versus lefties at home? Even better, has he pitched in that stadium before in the last few years? Those sort of things are correlative versus just looking and saying, okay, he's got a 28.7, I'm making this up, strikeout percentage, and he's hit this in 5 of the last 6, blah, 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 blah. So does it match up with who the opponent is? We actually have one of those that we're going to talk about in just a moment. So that's kind of what we learned yesterday. Before we get on to the business of the day, want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat, and thank you all so much for joining. Vern Thompson, good morning. Welcome in. Who you like today? We'll get to that in just a moment. Thank you for being here. Good morning to Eric J as well. Loving me some Peralta today. He's not one of the 3 we're going to talk about, but we'll get to him at the end, I promise, because I figured people would want to talk about him. And Philip Magruder says, good morning, Spin. All your guys went over yesterday. I'm ready to make some more money today. You and me both, man. You and me both. They all did. It was a beautiful night yesterday. So ready to have another one. Good morning to Mario. Welcome in. Appreciate you. Woo Rizza saying, my boy on a freaking heater. It's been fun, man. It's been fun. These are the times where, it's, I've learned that, but even with that in mind, what I've also learned is that as a capper, I take the line of you're 0-0 every day, and you're only as good as your last set of plays. And so for me, we're on a 10-play winning streak in VIP. We got a whole bunch of money that if you took the stuff I talked about yesterday, but we're 0-0 today. And so, I always take that to heart every day and it's like, I try to go whatever in 0, however many plays I give out in 0 every day, wash it and move on. So appreciate you, my guy. And yes, please do. Thank you, Riza. Hit the like and support. We really do appreciate that. Roger, always with us. Good morning and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And had 2 big yesterday with 2 ladders, Webb and Rodon. Love it. Yeah, Webb was interesting. I bailed on him in VIP. He was a finalist yesterday for the over, and I just didn't see it for a guy that's not really that big of a strikeout pitcher with the number of outs and earned runs and whatever. But and plus by that time we already had like a massive ton of plays going anyway. But Webb came through. Oh my, 10-piece for both him and for Rodon. So Mom Who Bets, good morning to you. Thank you so much for always being here. Happy hump day indeed. And Slim, good morning to you, always with us. So thank you to everybody in the chat. Really appreciate it. So for those of you that are new here, just joining, we're going to talk about 3 pitchers in detail. I'm going to break them down the same way that I do for VIP and go through all the metrics, all the numbers, what my leans are, where I'm looking to bet them. And then at the end, we also have time to go over any other guys that we didn't talk about and that we might want to get to. So The first guy that we are going to talk about, and these always go in chronological order of game time. So if you're so no matter when you're watching this, is that just so you know, is that if you all it just always goes in straight chronological order. So if you have to get a play in, if you're watching it later, you can do that right away. But the first guy we're going to talk about is Mr. Paul Skeens out in Arizona, 26.2% strikeout percentage, a 6.7% walk percentage. He gets the Diamondbacks at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time today. We do have a what I kind of thought the line would be. You're not going to put Skeens at a 5.5 because you're going to be way overweight on the over there. So we do have a heavily juiced under 6.5 and a nice plus money 6.5. Now the question becomes, can he get 7? And can he get 7 in Arizona? So a couple of things first and foremost before we get to the lineup is the Diamondbacks do have a large or significant disparity in what their strikeout percentage is on the road versus at home. They do strike out at about 23 to 24% against righties on the road. At home, it's more in the 16 to 18%. So it is one of the bigger home road disparities in Major League Baseball. Now, that said, some of the pitchers that they faced have not been of Paul Skeens' quality. So Paul Skeens himself is averaging over his last 10, 6.3 Ks per game, and has been at pretty much consistently at a 6.5 throughout his entire time there. The only time he wasn't at a 6.5 was when he was out in St. Louis, which was when he was dropped to a 5.5 and hit 6. Now, St. Louis is another team that is very Arizona-esque in that they do have a lot of similar contact metrics, and they also are tough to strike out at home. So it's really interesting to me that they dropped him against St. Louis, but they didn't drop him against a very similar team. Now, one difference is Arizona is a non-divisional opponent. And so you'll hear it when I get to past history. There's not as much past history there to go off of, which is what the books use at least in some fashion to factor in. Skeens' outs are holding at 17.5 with or an 18.5 juice to the under. That basically means that he's going to go 6 innings. So the question you have to ask yourself is, can he get 7 Ks in 6 innings against their lineup? Hits and earned runs are both exactly where they should be. So this is where Skeens should be set. So now we got to go deep into the metrics. And what I see is while it's been normalizing a little bit this year because he was in the 52 to 53% range, Skeens has a 50% zone rate, and MLB pitcher average is 48.7%. He was in that 52 to 53 range, but has come down now and is starting to get guys to chase more. I've talked about it on this show before about one of the reasons why that zone percentage was different is because last year Skeens threw his curveball, which runs way here on the outside. If we're looking at our clock, it runs way here to the outside in the 11 to 9 range and typically gets guys to go chasing with that one, whereas his sweeper can nip the corners of the zone. Sweeper gets thrown in roughly the same area, but does have a different release angle and a different spin pattern. So the curveball was thrown at a 10.8% clip last year. It's thrown at only 5% this year. Sweeper was at 10% last year. It's up at 14.7. So what he's doing is he's throwing the sweeper more and the curveball less. And what that's making guys do, because of the contact metrics on both of them, opposing teams are batting 0.061 to the sweeper this year, whereas they're hitting 308 against the curveball. So the curveball is typically used as a pitch where if you get a hold of it, you can make some good hard contact. The sweeper is more in the strike zone and is more has more higher contact rate, but it makes guys induce weak contact. In fact, Skeens' sweeper has one of the better weak contact rates among all sweepers, among all starters. So it makes sense as far as why he's using this. Now I look at the Diamondbacks lineup and I do see right now they are projected to run 7 lefties and 2 righties. This could help Skeens because he has a 28.9% K percentage against lefties this year versus 22.2% against righties. Looking at past history, I talked about how there's not a whole lot here. It's actually, I think, only one game, and he hasn't faced anybody more than 3 times. So there's not a lot you can draw off of past history with only one matchup. I like usually seeing at least 6 sometimes, but at least 6 plate appearances, which means you've seen him twice, preferably 9+, which means you've seen him 3 times. So I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in the fact that he only has 2 strikeouts against his projected lineup, because again, it's very, very low sample size. So what I'm looking for on this with Skeens is I am looking for zone contact, because Skeens, despite being in the zone higher than league average, his zone contact rate is almost 5.5% under pitcher average. And so it makes guys miss in the zone. I talked about the sweeper. I also talked about how he's clipping the corners more, but his four-seamer, which obviously has the blazing heat, etc., also makes guys whiff and is an out pitch. The only one that he throws on the regular in a regularity that is going to be a pitch that you're going to make guys chase on is the splitter. The splitter runs, if the curve and the sweeper go over here, the splitter goes over this way in the 2 to 4 range. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking at zone swing and I'm looking at zone contact. So when I see the Diamondbacks lineup, and what I always do is I just take them 3 by 3, top 3, middle 3, bottom 3, because the top 3 are who he's going to face the most. This next 3, he'll probably face all of them 3 times. And the bottom 3, he will face twice for sure, maybe 3 times. So Carroll, Marte, and Gurriel. So Carroll, despite being what you'd consider to be a high contact guy, Corbin Carroll has struggled this year with zone contact. It's gotten better, but he's still under league average. Marte and Gurriel are both very, very strong. So between these guys, I probably can mark them up for about 1.5, 2 max. Naylor, Suarez, and Pavin Smith. Naylor is elite. Suarez is below average, and Pavin Smith is way below average and takes pitches in the zone a ton. Pavin Smith is a guy that we want in if we want to get on an over here. The reason being is that, just like I said, he takes a ton of pitches in the zone. His overall zone contact rate is 74.5%. That's almost 8% under league average for hitters. So if this is the lineup that we get, you can mark down Suarez and you can mark for 1, and you can for sure mark Pavin Smith down for 1. I'd probably put Pavin Smith down for 1+. As I've said before on here, I don't like to count on guys to get 2 strikeouts in a game, even if it's a guy like Chris Taylor who sucks. It's just, especially if pitcher only faces him twice, it's a lot to ask for to get 2 strikeouts. So in these 3, I'm probably counting on 3. So now I'm at 4.5. Then we got to go to Marino, Alek Thomas, and Perdomo if this is the lineup. Perdomo's hard to strike out. I wouldn't like to see him. Alek Thomas is very gettable because he swings a lot in the zone and makes very, very average contact. And Moreno does take pitches in the zone, but does make contact. So I probably got 2 here. So where I'm going with all this is, if this is the lineup that we're going to get, and I do need Pavin Smith in to consider this one, just because he is their lowest zone contact guy that is in the lineup. I need Pavin Smith. Who I would not want to see is I would prefer not to see I prefer not to see Grichuk in the lineup, even though I don't think he's going to be, because it's a righty. But I would prefer not to see Perdomo in the lineup. He's got elite zone contact and actually doesn't whiff to a fastball very much. But if we get Pavin Smith, and the other guy that I would love to see in this lineup is if they do play Tim Tawa. I don't think they're going to, because Marte is projected to bat second, and that's the position that Marte plays, is second base. But if they can do something with their lineup where Tawa can be in, if you get Tawa and Pavin Smith in, then now we're talking about an overplay here. As it stands right now, is that I'm not opposed to a half unit. I wouldn't go any further until I see the lineup with a half unit shot on the over here at the plus money. I don't think that, it's not going to be easy, because you do have a lot of guys with a lot of zone contact in this lineup, but you also do have some very gettable guys in this lineup, specifically Suarez, Pavin Smith, and I believe it was Alek Thomas is also gettable, and Moreno is gettable because of how much he takes. And the reason why that's important for when guys take in the zone is if you're a pitcher like Paul Skeens, who has a blazing fastball as an out pitch, you go down 0-2 or 1-2, the whole playbook is open. I've talked about this to use a football analogy. It's like being second in inches at the 40, right? The whole playbook is open and the defense doesn't know what's coming. It's the same premise because you can throw any one of your pitches. Whereas if it's a 3-2 count, and let's say there's two guys on base, you're going to probably be getting a fastball and you got to be looking and thinking fastball. You don't know what's coming. So you put yourself in those positions. Skeens has over a 40% strikeout rate. So if you're going to take in the zone, which is what over half this lineup, or at least almost half this lineup does, is that you're putting yourself in those bad positions. So all of that adds up where a plus 126 is a fair price if you want to take a shot. I personally am going to wait on lineups for this one. But the ones that you want to see Pavin Smith. You want to see Suarez in. You would be nice to see Alek Thomas in because he chases so much. And the guys that would make it even better for an over, I'm assuming that the top guys, Gurriel, Marte, and Carroll are going to play. But Perdomo would be the one that you would want to look for as far as a guy who, it would be nice if he wouldn't be in. So that's my breakdown on Paul Skeens. I have a lean right now on the over just because of the plus money. I'm not going to risk with how he's pitching right now. I'm not risking minus 162 on an under for this. I think that this one is lined pretty appropriately. If you're into it, if you like parlays, I think that you can very easily pull Skeens down to 6+ and pair him with something else to get plus money. That holds value as well. But for me, I'm just not interested in paying minus 162. I'm especially not interested in paying minus 162 when we have Pavin Smith and Suarez in the projected lineup, and both of those guys could account for multiple strikeouts. So a couple in the comments. Esraj, good morning. Good morning to you, Cedric. Thank you so much for joining. And Zimmerman, Brianna Zimmerman. I think. Oh, I was going to say that's Zimmy. Zimmy, what's up, man? I thought that was you. So 9-2 on leans yesterday, 34-14 on your leans in the last week and a half. Thank you for keeping track of that. I actually don't keep track of that. I only keep track of ones that I actually tell people to put money into play. So maybe we should just start betting everything from now on. But that kind of goes against what I said to start the show. But appreciate you being here and appreciate you as always. All right. So hopefully that broke down Paul Skeens for you. Next up is Mr. Hunter Green, striking guys out at a 32.6% clip, walking guys at 5.4%. He will be in Kansas City at 6:40 p.m. And this one has the I always say the like the scary music, like the dun 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 line, because if you want the over on this one, oh baby, do you got to pay up. An absolutely gross minus 172 and a huge plus price on an under 5.5. I get why. I mean, it's Hunter frickin' Green. And he is now one start back from injury, which based on his outs, it would indicate that this is going to be a full start for him tonight. Outs are projected solidly at over 17.5, which would mean he's going to go 6 innings. So this is one of the most interesting ones in the day. And for me, one of the trickiest ones to cap, which is why I wanted to put it on the show, because I wanted to walk you through it and show what I'm looking at when it comes to playing Hunter Green. Now, I will say that a few books have come down on juice for this one. So the FanDuel price and the DraftKings price are gross. BetMGM has a reasonable minus 155. And BetMGM is usually one of the leaders when it comes to strikeout props, or most props, as far as raising or lowering their odds. So if you go by that narrative, it seems to be either coming down or may come down in the immediate future. So with this one, here's my first and foremost advice. is please don't, as a standalone, pay minus 172 for a prop. Don't pay minus 180, whatever those gaudy prices. If anybody, any capper, anybody that professes to be a prop expert tells you to straight up, like, don't reduce your unit size, don't reduce your risk, just basically put 1.72 units at risk for an over 5.5 for a pitcher on the road against a team like Kansas City, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And you should unfollow them immediately. And I have charts upon math to prove this. I'm right, and that's that. So that being said, there are a couple ways that we want to play Hunter Green. So the couple ways that we can look at this one is we can put him in a parlay. We can always do that to mitigate, just in a two-play parlay to mitigate our risk. We can take him if we think that we're going to get a great, like dominant Hunter Green. We can actually take him to 7+ and get plus money. So you incur more risk because you need more strikeouts, but you also mitigate paying the juice. Or, and it sounds weird to say, but this, if you're going to take it, this would be the one time to do it. One of the few times to do it, you take him under 5.5. So let's break it down and let's see where we land. So looking at Hunter Green, Hunter Green is in the zone quite a bit, to the tune of 57.3%. That's actually one of the highest zone rates of any starting pitcher going today. It's actually top 10% in all of Major League Baseball for pitchers with enough pitches and starts, et cetera, to qualify. So in addition to being in the zone that much, Hunter Green is absolutely elite when it comes to zone contact, only allowing 74.7%. That's better than Skeens. Now, he does get guys to chase above league average as well, and his chase contact is quite elite also. The reason why this happens is because, one, he has a dominating four-seam fastball that can be an out pitch. It averages 99.3 miles an hour. He goes over 100 on the regular, and he has phenomenal placement on it. Hunter Green operates, really, if we're looking at our clock, he operates in two areas. His four-seamer and his splitter operate over here in the 1 to 2 range, and his slider goes back across the other way in the 12 to 11 range. Now, the one thing with the slider for Hunter Green is that the horizontal break of it is it's just outstanding. I mean, I can't say enough about this. It's got 5.6 inches of horizontal break. And what I mean by that is when it breaks across the zone, which is 1.8 inches above even a comparable pitcher. So not just an average pitcher, a comparable pitcher. And there aren't many pitchers that throw a slider with this much spin and this much velocity. So it's very easy to see how he can get strikeouts really only throwing 2 pitches, because the splitter, he only uses the lefties, and everybody else just gets four-seamers and sliders. Now, this is a team that can be the elixir to that, because you look at the Royals lineup, which right now is projected to be 5 lefties and 4 righties. Green is striking out lefties at 34.3% versus 30.6% to righties. Now, I also see that there's almost no past history. The only person, and he's projected to be in on one site, but not projected to be in on the other. And so when you're using projected lineups, I use either RotoWire, or I use RotoWire and Swish Analytics. And one has Mark Canha projected to be in, one does not. I would assume that Canha would, if Canha is in, it would really be helpful, because what it means is that both Drew Waters and John Rave would not be in. And I'll explain why that matters in just a moment. Also, Canha is the only guy that's faced Green before in this lineup. He has 1 strikeout in 6 plate appearances. So positive history if you're looking at an under. So now the rest of the lineup, though, Drew Waters and John Rave are the two that I unfortunately have to pick on, because the rest of this lineup, when it comes to zone contact, is pretty darn good. I'll get to the actual individual metrics in a second, but John Rave has not been up very long. He made his major league debut over the weekend, and one of the things that has been pretty much the key with him is that he does have some power, he does have some good stuff, but he's also had periods where he's had a lot of strikeouts. even to the tune of over a 23.5% strikeout percentage in the minors, which, like, most of these guys that come up and stay up and are ready, like all the way ready to be like a full-time everyday guy, they have like 20% strikeout rates in the minors. So Rave being at 23.5, he's had some minor league stints where he's been over 25. He's had a few strikeouts already since coming up. Rave is a guy who can bring a lot of power with his swing, but he also can bring a lot of whiff. Drew Waters, same thing. Very, very whiff heavy guy. So if we're looking at zone contact, and we're going to go just 3-3-3, India, Witt, Pascantino. This is the sweet spot. This is the good stuff, because India has elite zone contact, doesn't swing very often. So there's a little bit of concern there that he could strike out, but you'd probably put him down for a half. Bobby Witt swings a lot, makes contact. He's going to be tough. Vinny Pascantino swings a lot, makes even better contact. He's going to be tough. So from the top three, I come up with a half. Then next, if this is the lineup, you got Salvi Perez, Mikhail Garcia, and Drew Waters. Drew Waters is, I actually think the kid's got some good stuff, but oh man, is he in trouble against a pitcher like Hunter Green. It's a one strikeout for sure. I would have him down for 1+. Mikhail Garcia, who would be next, has solid zone contact, but doesn't swing in the zone. Here's why that's important. Hunter Green has almost a 50% strikeout rate when he gets ahead in the count, specifically when he gets 2 strikes on 0-2 or 1-2. So if you're going to be like Mikhail Garcia and he swings 10% under league average in the zone, all the zone contact in the world might not help you. So you got to put him as a potential to get one. So that's another one. And Salvi Perez swings a ton in the zone, but makes contact right at average. He, I'm assuming, would be a guy who Green can get. So right there in the middle of that lineup, I come up with 2.5, maybe 3. So now I'm at 3, maybe 3.5. Then it gets interesting, because at the bottom of the lineup, Massey is a guy who is going to be tough to strike out. And as will Kyle Isbell is probably 50-50. So then it depends on if Canha is in or if Rave is in. If Rave is in, that's a strikeout for sure. So now we're at our 5.5, probably up to 6. If Rave and Waters are both in, both of them could strike out 2 times each, or one could. So I need to see a lineup on this one. And the guys I want in, if you want an over, are Raven Waters. The guys that you don't want in, or the guy you want in, if you're going to look for an under, would be Canha in for one of those 2. And then the other one batting like basically in the 9 holes. So what I would do right now, it's hard for me to give an official lean or play on Hunter Green right at this moment, because I don't know of those 3, Rave, Waters, and Canha, who is going to be in and where they're going to be batting. With the projected lineup that I just went through right now, I come up with 6. And if Waters and Rave are both in, I also come up with the potential for 7. So what I would do and this all depends on how you want to play it, is you can put 6+ at the high juice with something else right now. Please don't play it straight up. I don't find value in doing that. Or if you want to take a half unit shot and say, okay, well, they're not going to play. And please put Waters and Rave in the lineup, and don't put Canha in. Then what that would get me to is that would get me to 7. That would get me to 7. I could get to 7 in a plus money situation. I'd be fine with throwing a few bucks on that. But lineup construction is going to be gigantic when it comes to this one, because you have 2 guys that are in one projected lineup that are basically strikeouts waiting to happen against this man. And in another one, you have one of them batting much lower and one of them out, which changes the equation considerably. I also believe that this is why this is lined the way that it is, to say, okay, until we know for sure who's going in this lineup, is that if you want the over for this one, which for Hunter Green, I mean, 5.5 for Hunter Green is a number that he just torches on the regular when he's fully healthy, you're going to have to pay up for it. and they want you to pay up for it. They want to protect themselves with that juice at risk so that even people that can bet on an under, let's just say we do get that lineup and he goes over 6, then the under people that paid no juice can just pay off the winners, and the book washes their hands of it, doesn't make a dime on it. Whereas if it does go under, they've collected, let's just say you collect an equal number of bets at minus 155 juice versus plus 120 at under 5.5. Well, there's a 35-cent difference there. So who do you think makes money if there's an equal number of bets in that situation, right? So they pay, let's just say all the under bettors out at plus 120, but they have the same number of bets and same amount of money in there at minus 155. The book pockets the rest. That's how books make money. So they want to make you pay up now, and I don't know, based on how it's lined, I don't even know if they know what the final composition of the Royals lineup is going to be. But just know there's 6 out there, and if Canna's not in and the lineup is what RotoWire is projecting right now, there also could potentially be 7 out there. So that would be Hunter Green. Last but not least on our official ones, before we get to other looks and leans for the day, is Zach Wheeler. 30 striking guys out at 32.7%, walking guys at a 5.2% clip. He gets the Braves, a very familiar opponent, at 6:45 p.m. Maybe. I'll explain that in a moment. The line is a pretty reasonably juiced over 6.5 at minus 134. If you're wondering why it's very reasonably juiced, it is because they're just this is one I'm going to be watching throughout the day for the reason of there is weather potentially. So it's there is the potential that it rains all day long in Philadelphia and just before the scheduled game time. So the rain right now is projected to lighten up before game time, but potentially just be soggy and wet and just overall kind of miserable. So understand that there's a chance this one might not go. And that's also why, as of right now, you don't see an outs prop for Wheels. But I'm going to go through it with y'all, just assuming that the game does go and Wheeler gets his full start. Again, is that going to happen? We'll see. We'll have to keep our eye on the weather report. But assuming that the game goes, I mean, first and foremost, it's Zach freaking Wheeler. I mean, he's got almost a 40% strikeout rate at home. So over is really the only option that you can look at here. He does have 3 guys in the projected lineup, which as of right now is 5 lefties and 4 righties that he has absolutely ridiculous strikeout percentages against. Michael Harris, 10 Ks in 25 plate appearances. Olson, 11 Ks in 37 plate appearances, and Ozuna 25 Ks in 64 plate appearances. That's 30% strikeout rate for 3 guys in the lineup. So you figure all 3 of those guys, if they bat 3 times, which if the game goes, that's probably what they'll do. They're all 3 going down once. Then you go and you look at Wheeler's metrics, and like other guys that I've talked about today, Wheels is another zone guy. He's another pound the zone guy, 53.2%. Not as much as Hunter Green, but he also only allows 76.9% zone contact, which is almost 5% under average. So I have to look at zone here. And I have to look at, with this projected lineup, how many guys are going to either take a lot of pitches in the zone and make average zone contact, because when you take against Wheels, he's got nearly, like Green, a 50% strikeout rate when he gets guys in pitchers counts. Or are you going to have poor zone contact, which also puts you at risk for a strikeout? So Ronald Acuna, I'm going to give a little bit of grace to for some of his numbers this year. He just came back. His zone contact has been slightly above average. He's got he's only struck out 12 out of 54 times against Wheeler. I can't put him up for any more than a half. Drake Baldwin, who is projected to be in the 2-hole, has average swing metrics and decent contact, but doesn't really have much history against Wheeler. I do think because Wheeler does strike out lefties at a 31.7% clip, he's probably a half. I already talked about Ozuna, who will be a strikeout. I talked about Olson, who will be a strikeout. And I talked about, I don't think I got to Austin Riley. No, I did not. But Austin Riley does swing a ton in the zone and makes contact under league average. So that's a strikeout. So now we're at 3. And with the Baldwin and Acuna, possibly 1 between them, that's 4. Verdugo's going to be tough. Verdugo's a high contact guy and has good history. But Albus, because of how much he swings in the zone, and even though he does only have 11 strikeouts and 55 plate appearances, is probably a half. Then with Harris, I already talked about, that's a strikeout, so now we're at 6. And then we get Nick Allen, who swings a good amount in the zone and could potentially be a strikeout guy as well. So there's 7 out there. There's 7 out there easy with this lineup. So the only guys I think that are going to be tough, and the guys that if they do play this game, you don't want to see Verdugo. Verdugo would be nice to be out, but he's a lefty, so I'm sure he'll be in. And you probably, I mean, it would be nice to not see Acuna, but since he's just come back, I would assume that he's probably going to be in as well. So everybody else can be a strikeout candidate against this man. Everyone else, and you also have the potential for Ozuna and for Harris to go down twice. So if it looks like this game is going to go, or at least that Wheels will get his full start in due to the weather, is that this is a very, very easy overlook for me. So what I would do is I would just keep checking back. You can check on the team's Twitter. Underdog MLB is a great site for all of those updates. And really, I mean, if you really want to get detailed and like do what I do, I actually run the weather radar throughout the day. I actually find the stadium on the map and I run it for 12 hours consecutively, looking at and then isolate it to what the game time is and look at what the radar looks like, and I compare it every couple hours. So, but I'm a big like data and like metrics nerd like that. So rain is what could kill this one. If the game's going to go, if the lineup is going to be what the projected is, over is an easy look for Wheeler. If you really want, you can probably just take a shot on. I mean, you can take a shot on the over. Here's the risk in doing that, to do it right now, is that they play the game, and then in the 3rd inning, it starts pouring and there's an hour delay. And then they come back out. Guess who's not going to be out there if they do that? Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler is the ace of this staff. He's a Cy Young candidate right now. There's no way that they're going to let him sit in cold, damp conditions for an hour and then try to get warmed back up and go back out there. So that's the risk you're taking by taking an over right now. Obviously, if the game doesn't resume, you get your bet back and we get pushed. That's not a big deal. But betting it now for weather games, and this is the risk you run, is that it's tough. It's really tough because I've had it happen before where the pitcher is just cruising. He's got, 4 Ks through 2 innings. And then the 3rd inning, the rain starts and they're in a 45, basically anything more than 35, 40 minutes, that starter ain't coming back out there. Managers prepare for this, and they have long relievers. They have, bullpen guys, whatever, ready to go in the event that there is a delay and the game does, and the game resumes later. So that's the risk with betting it now. But if we get enough weather reports that the game can go and can be played, then over is the way to go for Zach Wheeler for sure. All right. I saw a few in the comments. I'm going to go to here in a second before we get to other looks, and we'll talk about everybody else. I see, let's see, Cover Kings saying there's a -% chance that they play today. Yeah, I wouldn't say negative. I think that I wouldn't say it's high, but depends on if the rain lightens up and they decide to play it wet. Now, one thing to note with that, the home team is the team that ends up making one of the final calls on if they play. So that would probably lead to what Cover Kings was saying, because if you're the Phillies, and let's just say that there is just a light soaking rain that you could go out and play in, do you really want to send Zach Wheeler out in that and have him pitch in miserable conditions? He could slip, he could fall, a whole bunch of bad things could happen. There's a lot more bad that can happen than good. Cover King saying 1 unit on Peralta over 6.5. And also a half unit on Landon Roop for the Giants over 15.5 outs. And let's see, Roger and KD have questions, so we'll go to those. Roger saying, hey, Spin, would you go under on Sandy and Pablo 17.5 and 18.5 outs? respectively. I would be more apt to do it on Sandy just because of how often the Padres swing in the zone and how Sandy can just allow hit after hit after hit after hit. So I would probably be more apt to do that one. Pablo, the Rays do have a decent swing rate in the zone, which is where Pablo operates. So not 100% convinced on that one. So if you're going to do either one of them, I would do Sandy for sure. Godspeed KD, welcome in and good morning to you, my guy. And he says, yep, Will Warren got pulled in Colorado, but if you were in VIP, he had just hit 7 strikeouts and books pay that one. So we had the over 6.5. He got a 7 strikeout and they yanked him, which was just fine because it already paid. So Kid Kean, I'll get to your Noah Cameron question in just a second. And because Eric had said, loving some Peralta. Yeah, I mean, Peralta, I think, is going to be the chalk play today, and for good reason. And I don't say chalk in a derogatory term. I just mean that it's a pitcher who is a strikeout pitcher who has a lot of good stuff against a team that is just absolutely gaudy when it comes to strikeouts. Here's what to think about with Peralta, because the thing that the Red Sox struggle with the most out of anything is zone contact. I mean, they're not great at chase contact either, but what they really struggle with is zone contact. And so Peralta is only in the zone 41.5% of the time, which is one of the lowest of any pitcher. He needs guys to chase in order to in order to get strikeouts. So there are for sure 7 strikeouts. There's probably 9 strikeouts out there, quite honestly. But what I want to see is how they organize their lineup, because I want to see how many chasers that we're going to have in this lineup for the Red Sox. Because the one thing that Freddie Peralta can do, whether he's at home or on the road, is he tends to walk himself and pitch himself like outside the zone, outside, and pitch himself out of games. So if I'm going through this lineup looking at chasers in the projected, I see Duran, Devers, Abreu. Duran does chase a lot. Devers does not chase really at all. Abreu is under average. Then I go Mayer, Sogard, and Story. Mayer does not chase. Sogard does not chase, and Story chases a ton. Hamilton, Wong, and Raffella. So I got Hamilton chases a ton, Wong who chases a lot, and Raffella who chases a ton. So right there, we do have 5 to 6 guys who do chase. If you're playing this one, you're playing the over. It's the only way to do it. Even at the juice, which I would expect would rise throughout the day. So like Cover Kings already gave it out. If you're going to take Peralta and you're not like going to like dive deep into the lineups, the way to take it is over, and the time to take it is now, because I wouldn't be surprised if we get this projected lineup, if we get a -155, -160. I don't think it'll go to 7.5 just because Peralta just has not been that dude striking guys out. But if we're going to get 5 to 6 chasers in this lineup, then Peralta throws enough chase stuff to get there. So, and let's see, we got thoughts on Kid Keon. Welcome in too. Appreciate you. Thoughts on Noah Cameron and Matt Boyd? Well, Matt Boyd is against the Rockies, so over is the only way to play it. If you're asking me, are there 8 strikeouts out there? Yes, 100%. The Rockies, the Rockies are just, it's just god awful. They have so many guys in their lineup that chase and that whiff, and that, I mean, even I'm looking at the projected lineup right now, and I really, really hope, because Boyd's a lefty, I really, really hope that we get this projected lineup, because there's no Martini, there's no Farmer, and it's basically a who's who of who whiffs in Major League Baseball and who also Ks to lefties. So Amador is the only guy who can even be a potential spot. So otherwise, Boyd can get every single other person in this lineup. So I'm going to wait for lineups on this one. But if you go to RotoWire baseball lineups and you look at the Rockies projected lineup, and this is the one that they run, I don't care what order it is, over is the way to go. Let's see. Noah Cameron. Yeah, I looked at Noah Cameron. And it's I'm assuming that you'd be looking at an over because of the opponent. It's not a bad look. I don't have enough history from my perspective. I'm interested too that as to why he's gone 19, 19, 20 outs in his first three starts with not a lot of strikeouts, and they put his strikeouts at the average 4.5, but they didn't raise his outs up. I would have expected a 17.5 for outs there. They also, his hits are up at 5.5. It was up at, and the only time he's been line for it is against Minnesota last time on the road, and it was 4.5, and it was he only allowed 4, and now it goes up to 5.5 at home against a worse hitting team. So I had to just throw it out because of all that, because the line just spoke to me. Is that like it just I didn't have enough information to kind of get around or discern what they were trying to do. But Boyd, yeah, I mean, especially if you look at the lineup and you see no Martini and no Farmer. Oh my goodness, that is a situation where if Boyd shows up today, he legit could put up a 10-piece. The Rockies are that bad, especially to lefties. So, all right, onward to finish the day with other looks, sides, and totals. These are leans that I have on both baseball, and I suppose I'll talk about the basketball game. For those of you that don't know, I'm from Minnesota, so I suppose I'll talk about that one. But if you're looking for a plus money line, there's a few of them that stand out to me. The Blue Jays is one at plus 117. That would be one that you can use. The other one, it's lightly juiced, so I don't like it as much. Would be the Rays today. It's interesting that with Pablo Lopez on the mound, that the Twins are at plus money, and despite the fact that the Twins are taking all the money, we actually have reverse line movement on this one and have since last night. It's weird. It's also one of the reasons why I didn't like the Pablo, why I was kind of iffy on the Pablo outs thing too. And then if you're looking for another plus, I think that was the only money line, the only two money lines that really stood out to me. I mean, if you have a strong stomach, I'm just going to say there's value on it. I'm not saying that I would personally touch it. The Angels at plus 143 actually has some value. Kikuchi has had some decent success against the Yankees. Angels first 5 actually has some value as well, but I mean, it's the Angels. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to stomach that one. If you want to throw it into like a mega $5 fun lunch money parlay, have at it. I've done that with the Rockies a few times before, where it's like, it's plus 270 and it's worth like it's $5 mega parlay. I wouldn't do anything heavy on it. For totals, the big one for me, I think that the Blue Jays team total, I already talked about the money line. Blue Jays team total for me works. The team total over, and then the under in Detroit, which starts pretty soon, the under 7.5. This one has actually taken some significant reverse line movement. It opened at 8, opened 8.5 in some places. It's now down to 7.5, despite 65% of the bets and 55% of the money being on the over. Now, if you're looking for some NBA action tonight, I'm not going to give a pick on the spread because I watch my Timberwolves as a fan. And while I'll always hope that we can win, I know the spot we're in. So I'm just going to go with the under 220 for this one. Under 220 for this one. I also think that they find a way to get Ant more shots. And I think that in an elimination game, he doesn't have a choice. So I do like Anthony Edwards threes and Anthony Edwards points. In these games, he has typically shown up. I think the defense that Oklahoma City put on him in game 4, which people were all flutter about why he's only taken this many shots. They basically put a box and one on him and hedged high and ran him off the line on all the ball screens. Because the thing that Ant killed the Thunder on in game 3 was off of high ball screens, stepping in to a high 3. The Thunder basically brought, like, if you think about football, basically like bracket coverage on a high ball screen to prevent that from happening, and they fanned him out. So I think that there'll be more adjustments from that perspective to potentially get him to attack more from the wing, because the Wolves were obviously looking for the same type of attack with Ant going with a high ball screen from Rudy or Julius or now whoever, and coming off and stepping into a high three or a top of the key three. When they fanned him out like that and he had to back up, the Thunder did a good job of rotating back, so he couldn't kick it as fast. So I think the Wolves will adjust to that, and I think that they'll have him attack more from the wing. So that's why I like a lot of Anthony Edwards props tonight. As far as who wins the game, I mean, I'm never going to like predict against the Wolves, but I know the spot we're facing. So I just want us to show up. I want us to play as well as we can, and whatever happens, happens. But if you wanted to lean on that one, under 220.5 is where I'm looking for that one. I think that Oklahoma City also makes some adjustments to not let, just in case some of our role players catch fire, to not let our guys just absolutely go ballistic from 3-point range, because some of them are starting to find their stroke, and that can shoot you into a game. All right. That is going to do it for today. Went an hour today. So a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good comments, a lot of good questions. Appreciate everybody being here. Wanted to give one last shout out through the chat. Thank you to Vern. Thank you to Eric. Thank you to Philip. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Riza. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Mom Who Bets. Thank you, Slim. Thank you, Trying to Rob FanDuel. Thank you, Cedric. Thank you, Zimmy. Thank you, Cover Kings, Kid Keon, and Godspeed KD. I appreciate all of y'all. If you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe to the Daily Bread Network on YouTube. Please follow me at Spin Doc Sports. Please like the video. Please show us some love. Helps us get our stuff out there. We'll be back with you tomorrow for 3 more pitchers, more free analysis, more plays. And again, just to remind everybody, VIP's on a 10-play win streak. The link is in my bio. You can get in today. We got a whole bunch of potential action going on today. It's going off. Late May through July, and people who are in VIP who are in here can attest to this, is when we absolutely go ballistic. It's the highest profit margin. It's the highest ROI. This is the best time to get in. If you want me to send you graphs and charts to show you that, I can do that. I will gladly do it. So just thank you, Zimmy. Yes. Sean's been with me for a long time. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you a lot. Yep, it's going to be fun. So can't wait to make everybody money. But anyways, I'm out. Best of luck with all your with whatever you're tailing. We'll see you tomorrow.